I'm back, and I saw what you two were up to last week. Your nonsense. I think Peter was afraid to even be here to face the music. I don't even know what you guys were up to. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a bit unhinged for sure. I mean, I just blame Peter
It,
100%. Just
well,
it's his
clearly,
fault.
I agree,
Um,
but I am
I
back.
don't take any responsibility. Yes, welcome back. Thank
No,
God you're back.
yeah, yeah.
We lost Peter, so that's too bad. But I'm sure we'll find him. Honestly, it's my show now.
It's
So
because you were here
yeah,
2 weeks in a row, so you just okay. All right, well,
exactly.
go ahead.
Yeah, thanks.
Uh huh. All right, we're gonna talk about Cisco's head of AI makes an obvious point.
yeah.
So I think this is kind of ridiculous because, well, so the headline from AOL.com is Cisco's head of security thinks that we're headed into an AI phishing nightmare. To which I say, yeah, obviously. Like, what else do you think? What do you even think he means by that?
So I've been since ChatGPT dropped, I've been playing around with the idea of like how could I abuse you if I was an attacker?
Isn't that just
And
kind of your general approach to the world?
um
You have a
yeah,
T-shirt that says that.
I should honestly get a t-shirt is how can I use you for my own game? Um and I think so the obvious like low barrel stuff, like the like low hanging fruit, I should say, is right like having what used to be really shoddy emails now like become really nice emails, like phishing emails. So, I asked ChatGPT to turn this shitty text into like actually readable, like understand. Like, yeah. So I think that one is pretty obvious. What we're instead now, I think, gonna see is anytime this is the scary part. Anytime a CEO does like a video, right? Or an announcement or a talk or an interview or whatever, they're basically giving ammo to attackers to use their voice to train AI. What used
Well,
to be a text
yeah.
message saying, "Hey, it's me, your CEO. Go to Target and buy me a bunch of gift cards." Um, it's going to be a voice note, or it's going to be a phone call, or it's going to be a video.
Is that an AI problem though? Do you think? Like, is
Yeah,
that an
yeah,
AI
definitely.
capability? Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
So, like training AI on voices is a common thing now that you can do to like mimic
Mhm.
certain people, and we've seen that. Like, I think the biggest case we saw was Russia doing it with Zelensky, right?
Mhm.
Like it was so terrible, but like it's gotten really good, like
Yeah.
scary good, and super quickly it's gotten very, very good. So I think that's probably one thing we're gonna see. There was another one that I should have written it down that I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't think of that sooner. Um, that was really good and like gonna be super special, like just a very unique. It's gonna be a very like unique problem that we're gonna have to face. But then obviously, like
That you
this is
can't
kind of like
remember.
a
Great point.
it's gone. Obviously, this is gonna be like a duh article, like another like is this really even an article? But I would say that we're gonna have to start thinking about how to monitor for this beyond just like, oh, that's like
Yeah.
phishing awareness,
I
right?
th-
Because I can spoof your email, I can spoof the way you sound and um the way you look. Oh, I think maybe it was like I think this is what it was. So, or if maybe it wasn't, but I just came up with another one. Um this one's actually kind of good. So in the past, we've seen like scams that are it's a type of phishing attack where you pretend to be a company you're in business with, and you contact their accounting department and
mhm.
update the payment information that
Mm.
you need to pay this
Yeah.
vendor or whatever. And some of the biggest ones were in like the hundreds of millions of dollars of money transferred and then poof, gone, right? Like, bank was in some sketchy like Somalia or something. Excuse me. And I think what we're going to see now is people are going to be able to hop onto a call and be like, "Hey, like, I need you to
Yeah.
divert your payment to this new bank account," right? And they're like, "Oh, well, I've been talking to you for years. It's clearly you."
And we would
That's
consider
going to be a little
that
bit scary.
a phishing attack.
That is considered a phishing
Okay.
attack, right? Like,
All right.
you are masquerading as something that you're not. I mean, maybe there'll be a transformed name for it, like vishing or whatever, you know. But we're definitely gonna see it again. Excuse me.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking of the phishing being more like that broad net piece than a very targeted, specific, like pull your Mission Impossible mask off your face
Right.
to like, I'm the bad guy. Because when I read this, I thought, well, it's obvious, but also nothing new, right? Because
No.
the benefit of AI in traditional email phishing is the same as any traditional marketing, which is A/B testing.
Yeah.
The benefit of AI, and you see this in the social media ads, is it can test headlines, it can test messages, it can test graphics, it can test all these things very quickly and quickly optimize the campaigns for maximum conversion rate. And that's all a phishing email is. It's just a marketing email to malicious ends, a black hat email.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you think of marketing, I think a lot of times people still do like money, what's the bad men? What's the advertising show? Mad Money. Mad Men. Mad Men. That's what it was. Where you pitch a campaign and it's got TV and radio and print and somebody spends millions of dollars and it goes into production and you flood the market. But the ads that you see on Facebook, there might be 1,000 versions of that in front of 100,000 different people, and they're just picking the best one on the fly.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see. I mean, I think we already do see A/B testing in like sophisticated attacks. And that is what Mike just described, by the way. It is taking variations of the same thing and presenting it to different groups of people to see which one has the best response rate or whatever. So we're definitely going to see that on crack now, right? Like we're going to see that times 1,000 with AI. And then we're going to deploy AI to detect like phishing that people normally couldn't. And that's already happening, right? And I think it's just going to get more like pervasive. Like it's just going to get more invasive, the monitoring, I mean. But yeah, it's gonna be it's scary if you think about it. Like I was just playing through a scenario of how I would do this. Like if I wanted to impersonate a CEO or someone like a big name, you know, like that isn't very public. Like I would try to get into an interview with them. Like I would hire some people with fake information to like go try to get an interview with this person, like a job interview, right? Like just so that they could talk and I could see their camera and everything's screen recorded, and then I can use that to make my own version of them. Like very scary stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I can hop onto a Zoom call with a vendor and be like, send me a bunch of money. It's me, clearly. I'll forward you the banking info. You know?
And we've talked a couple times about how you do that. Is it blockchain or hardware certification end to end? Like
so tough, such a tough problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do about that because it's only going to get easier and easier.
Yeah. So I think that applying some European countries have like bank ID, which is kind of a limit on the name because it's way more than just your bank ID. It's your digital identification, and you can authenticate to like any number of services in the country. And like I can sign into like my government like portals, right? Like to like look at my welfare or social security or filing my taxes. I use it all with this one app, this bank ID. And I think that's probably the route we're going to have to take, is that we're going to have to eventually like authenticate using something like that every time we want to do something important.
I mean, I guess a vendor could do it. You could have a Zoom authenticated ID.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, then you get into, well, now I have to provide photo ID to a software
Zoom.
vendor, but like, what are you going to, there's got to be a way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of can't have both.
No, you can't. It's a tough problem. It really is. And like that's what I was saying with like the invasion of privacy, the breakdown of privacy will occur for verification purposes. And then it's up to the nation and its people, I guess, to make sure that it's not being abused.
Yeah.
Right. Because such a skinny rope to walk, really. One very, very risky endeavor for everyone involved.
And broadcast is going to be particularly tricky, but just thinking about corporate communications, I mean, you could like essentially use authentication apps that same way, right? You just like two people get on the phone or two people get on Zoom and you just say, hey, what's the authentication code right now? Right. You could do something like that pretty easily.
Yeah. It's just, I guess the problem becomes for foolproof verification. So you have to make sure that the HDMI cable that's connected to your monitor and that your monitor and that your GPU and that your internet connect, like, right, there's so many steps, there's so many hops where you have to do verifications.
I mean the actual like authentic, like a Duo Mobile or Google Authenticator.
Yeah.
If you and I are both using it for a similar application, we should have the same number at a certain time, right? And we could just like,
oh, sure. You're saying like but that's just two peers, right? Like that's just two people. But if we're talking about like broadcasting, what's stopping a country from man in the middling and like injecting a news stream, right? Or an attacker.
Any broken link in the chain, for sure. Yeah,
exactly. And that could literally just be that your HDMI cable is way more than an HDMI cable, and it is actually, which we've seen bad USB chargers where they look like phone chargers, but they're actually like information stealers.
But by the time you're sending the information out, if you can authenticate the recording and you can authenticate the broadcast, I don't know that you necessarily have to authenticate each receiver.
Sure. No, totally. This is more for like a live, this is way more for like a live, like example.
Because so say you're using YouTube Live, right? Mm-hmm. It's an encrypted connection on YouTube, so you just have to make sure that the video source is authenticated. So
how do I, as the end user, verify?
As the end user, you can't.
My president.
You have to trust that YouTube is able to do that somehow.
Yeah.
Which, as of today, they probably can't, but...
Well, and they don't, right? And same goes for Facebook with Zelensky. That is where the President Zelensky, like, AI-generated scam of him saying that, Kiev has fallen in the beginning of the Ukraine-Russia war, that's what happened, is it dropped on Facebook. Like,
but that'll hopefully be the next step, is that Facebook or YouTube has to be able to say, hey, this is an authenticated broadcast. You can trust it. And we all know that Facebook has a pretty well established history of dealing quite effectively with fraud and fake news and misinformation. So
they're so great at it.
Feel pretty comfortable with that.